Attachment. Oh, that's what's been on my mind today. Attachment. How I attach to things in the world, and how we all attach to things in the world. And what is attachment, right? A lot of the times, attachment is a source of safety for us. It's a source of comfort. It's what brings us peace. It's sometimes what reduces anxiety. But on the contrary, attachment can also be the source of a lot of our suffering. At least, that's how I feel. A lot of the times, it is the source of my suffering, my attachments to the world. But I also realize that attachments are important and necessary. But I also realize that attachments are important and necessary. But it's interesting because there's different types of attachments, right? When you're a little child, you can be attached to a stuffed animal or a toy. And nowadays, I see a lot of people, their cathexis object, to speak in psychoanalytic terms, is their phone. And I try to stay away from that as much as I can, because I think it's important to be actively involved in the world and in what you're doing, right? And sometimes our phones get in the way of that. They make it, I guess, more bearable to live life. I don't know. I think it's more difficult, especially nowadays, for people to live life and actually really truthfully live it, right? Like, to look out and actually, experience life for what it is. And it's interesting because I was thinking about this earlier, and it's been on my mind a lot today. And I was at the gym earlier, and it's all I could think about, and it was bringing up a lot of trauma for me, because I was just realizing that I'm attached to a lot of things, and we all are attached to a lot of things, because in many ways, attachment are defense mechanisms. Defense mechanisms against whatever uncomfortable feelings that maybe we don't want to feel. But it's important to look at these attachments. It's important to look them dead in the face, because then we can start to disintegrate these attachments just a little bit and figure out what they actually are, right? And that's important, and that's essential for maturity and psychological growth. And it was interesting because I was thinking about this, and then I started to think about my dreams and how I feel in my dreams a lot of the time. And I began to realize that I don't really feel attached to things when I'm dreaming. It's a weird thing, because it's like, even though I think defense mechanisms still exist to a certain extent in dreams, although our defense mechanisms depict themselves or manifest themselves abstractly in our dreams through images. They're still there to a certain extent, but I feel like when I'm dreaming, my energy just flows a lot better. And I feel like I'm not judging myself and I'm not judging reality so much, because I guess you're not really living in reality at that point, but I'm not exactly sure, because dreams are a very, very strange place. Some people believe that they're meaningless. I don't think they're meaningless. I think that they are the thing that has helped me the most on my journey of psychological transformation, because if you pay attention to your dreams, they're going to tell you a lot about yourself. And that's useful and beneficial and something that you can utilize to propel yourself forwards. And it's not always essential to be going forwards. I think regression does have its benefits as well, because I think that's what shadow work is, right? I think that's what I'm talking about right now, is rediscovering, all this stuff inside of myself that maybe I've forgotten. That's still going to project itself outwards, right? It's still going to have some sort of authority over my life, because as long as I let it lay dormant in my subconscious, it's still going to have some sort of power over me. It's still going to have some sort of effect on my behavior. So I think it's really important to look deep down and to recognize what it is that's bothering you and what it is that makes you tick, because the more you get to know yourself on a deeper level, the more integrated you become, and the more you're going to be able to live, like I was saying before, an authentic life. But I'm talking about attachments, though, because I think that it's just a profound thing to think about, because we're all attached to this world. Think about how afraid you are to die, right? That's, for a lot of people, especially I think more in Western cultures, it's a great fear, because in Christianity, death is seen as a bad thing if you don't live a righteous life or a virtuous life, because then you're going to be condemned to hell, right? But I think obviously that's just the Christian interpretation. But living in America, it's prevalent, and you grow up that way, and not only are you dealing with your own personal issues and your own personal problems and your own personal trauma, you're also dealing with the overwhelming guilt that society has put on you, and has made you believe, as you've evolved and as you've matured, that you have to be this kind of person, and you have to do this way and this way, and you have to be this prototypical individual, and you can't be unique in any way, and you can't break outside the boundaries, because then you're going to be condemned for it, which I think is absolutely ridiculous, personally. And I'm not saying that to say that there's no benefit to Christianity, because I think that there is benefit to, wisdom. There's benefit to all wisdom. I think there's benefit to Christianity. I think there's benefit to Greek mythology. I think there's benefit to Buddhism. I think there's benefit to all the religions and mythologies that have existed from the beginning of, in Mesopotamia all the way up to modern day, Christianity. A Gnostic belief, or Zoroastrian dualism. There's so many of them. But you can pick and choose, and you can get a lot of wisdom from all of them, right? Like the Kabbalah, or the Torah. The list goes on and on. Nonetheless, what I'm trying to say here is, I guess it's okay that we are attached to this world. But I think in order to deepen your enlightenment, right, is to realize that these attachments are merely attachments. They're not necessarily canonical or something that you cannot transform or transcend past, right? You can evolve, and it's okay. That's all I really want to say is, I guess, to myself and to anybody listening, is it's okay. It's okay that you don't know. It's okay that you're confused. It's okay that you're not where you want to be at yet. It's okay that it's okay. It just be where your feet are, right? Just be okay with being where you're at. And I guess that's what I'm trying to tell myself, and that's what I'm trying to tell you guys, is it's okay. Everyone's confused. Everyone is trying to find their place. Everyone is just, trying to navigate through the world. And everyone is attached to something in some way, and everyone projects in some way or another, and everyone, has certain types of behavior that they're trying to figure out and they don't know why. But it's like, what I'm trying to tell you is, there's a root behind your behavior. There's a root behind why you're feeling the way that you're feeling. And you can get to a point where you understand it, and you can transcend past it, and you can become more psychologically whole and balanced and integrated and more happy and more fulfilled internally. These are all possibilities. Do not let anybody tell you that you cannot achieve a better inner sense of peace. Don't let anybody try to take that away from you. Get all these negative people out of your life. Get all these people who don't want to, grow out of your life. And just, if you have to be alone, be alone. And that's something that I've been dealing with. And I think, I listen to Chris Williamson every now and then, but he said something on one of his podcasts that every person goes through a lonely, every successful person goes through that lonely chapter in their life. And I feel like I'm in that lonely chapter in my life, because I'm still young and I know what I want, and I've been chasing what I want now for 4 years straight, and I've lost a lot of friends. And I focus on myself a lot, and I guess gotta understand that that's the sacrifice that you have to make if you want to go somewhere. And you're gonna have to take that journey, and you're gonna have to cross that bridge. And when you're crossing that valley, right? When you take that journey out into the wilderness, when you take that hero's journey, there's gonna be a part where you're undergoing trials and tribulations. And it's going to be difficult. But you're going to have to realize that that's part of the process. The pain and the suffering, the isolation, that's part of the process. And it's not the whole process. It's just a part of the process. It's the separation process. You're transforming yourself. And it's a little bit uncomfortable to transform, because you're shedding your skin and you have to outgrow who you were before. So that's not going to necessarily be absolutely comfortable. But the more you realize that it's part of the process, the more you begin to accept it, the more you begin to lean into the pain and into the confusion and dig deeper down into yourself, and you realize that there is light at the end of the tunnel. There is a greater place for you. There is a better life, but that's not in material things. It's not in a better house. It's not in a better car. It's not in, a prettier woman or whatever the hell it is that you're chasing. It's that better life, that happiness is to be found within you, right? It's it's like Jesus said, the kingdom of heaven is within you and outside of you. And once you get to know yourself, you know that. And once you know that, nobody can take that away from you. And nobody can take that peace and inner sense of tranquility away from you, regardless of your circumstances, regardless of your situation. It doesn't matter where you are. When you have that, there's nothing that can shake you. There's nothing that can break you. It's you know, that's your salvation right there, realizing that you are a part of, you know, this universe, and you are an extension of nature, and you're not separate from it. None of us are, but that's something that we forget. And that's why I'm talking about attachment, because I think the attachment, you know, the attachment issues that we deal with is a consequence of our perceived separateness from the world. And sometimes that makes us feel alone, but you're not alone. You're not alone because you're one with God. You're one with nature. You're one with this cosmos. So realize that, and just know that you're never alone. You're not. You're a part of everything. And when we die, you know, you just go right back to that. And it's not even that we die, because nothing dies in this universe. There is a law of conservation. Entropy does state that the total energy of the universe is zero. It's constant. So you're not going anywhere. You're not alone. And, you know, just keep digging into yourself, and keep taking that journey, regardless of how difficult it is. Just know that it's worth it. It's just like fucking doing reps in the gym, dude. Like, you know, you're doing whatever you're doing, squats or bench press or curls or whatever it is. It hurts. And then when you're done, you get that sense of relief that you accomplished something. And every set is the hero's journey, and you can see it like that. And it's not just in the gym, it's with anything in life, right? But I think the gym and fitness and working out will teach you certain tenets that are going to benefit you in anything that you decide to chase after in this life. Because it is just like that. It's all about sets, and it's all about consistency, and it's all about enjoying the process. So stay up, man.